Welcome to What's Happening in Miami County. Here's your hosts, Don Smith and Bill Cartwright.
Hello, I'm Don Smith.
And I'm Bill Cartwright.
Today is January 22nd.
And we're on Channel 5 on the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month and on YouTube.
And we replay almost every evening at 6 o'clock.
Right.
AJ puts us on pretty much most evenings on Channel 5. So, and if you don't get that, you can always find us on YouTube.
Always.
And that's really a cool thing. You know what?
What?
I was really excited because this is the 22nd day of January, and on the 20th of January, we got a change of administration in Washington,
Yes.
and I thought that was a really nice thing.
Yes. And I'm really excited about today's program.
Uh-oh.
Because, we had a great visit with Chris Manning the other day, and she had lots to share with us. Really was cool about Overfield Tavern and Museum.
And what's coming up on that? Yeah. That's a good one. And then also, our last show, we did that gold pouring with fifth generation Luke Toma. He did an amazing job.
That was so cool to watch.
I was really impressed with that.
Yeah.
And I hope all of you had an opportunity to see it. But if you didn't and you're watching this one, you can always go on YouTube and go back one and see what we did then.
Absolutely. It was really cool to see.
Yep. Catch us one way or the other.
Yeah. So, what have you been doing lately?
Well, I've been doing the same stuff I always do, which is Bethany Center, and I've had several dentist visits. Not that you can tell. You spend lots of money and you can't tell a thing has been done, but that's okay.
Benefits your health, though.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Oh, it does.
And then I, being president of the Piqua Caldwell Historic District, I decided that in January we were going to have 3 work sessions, and the 3 Wednesdays in January, tonight being the last one, to get everything kind of organized so that this year everything runs smoothly and we know who's in charge of everything and kind of make that a really nice operation. So we're working real hard. The committee has been exceptional. They were a little shocked when I said 3 meetings in a row, but once they get over the shock, I think everybody's been really receptive and we've learned a lot. Been to Columbus, went to visit, some of you may know Nancy Luce. Dr. Luce was the superintendent of the Upper Valley Career Center. She lives in Columbus now and is a good friend of ours, and we spent the day with her in Columbus, and that was a real enjoyable time. And the sad thing was I had an emergency visit to the vet. Our Shih Tzu, Sam, seemed to have some real illness issues, and I called our regular vet and they weren't available, and they suggested I take him to the emergency vet, which happens to be in Dayton. And after 2 days of visits there, I think we got him back under control. He's only 4 years old, so I think we got it figured out. He is a good dog. He's a happy dog normally, but he was just not feeling good, and it appeared to be somewhat serious. In the long run, we found out it wasn't so serious, but it looked serious.
Yes.
So, it's just like kids.
It's scary. Yeah, it can be scary. Really
I know, and it's just like kids. You got to do what you got to do. And it's a sad thing. Now, I just saw in the news about the Shih Tzus. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
103 or 4
Something
of them.
like that. It's the shelter's overwhelmed right now.
Right. So, and if any of you have any interest in animal situations, that donations to the animal shelter in Miami County would be helpful at this point. Because
I think they're even trying to find some foster families for some of the. There was actually, I think there was 3 or 4 litters of Shih Tzu puppies that aren't old enough to be weaned or whatever, and so they were looking for foster families to maybe help take care of one of these litters or something. So,
there was whispering at home about going down to see if we could get one of those Shih Tzus, because as you know, our household is a Shih Tzu household.
Right.
We have 2, and one of ours is elder and a little concerned about him. And I thought, well, he could have a young buddy, might give him a little bit of spryness. So I don't know what we're going to do about that, but we'll just follow along and see what happens.
Right.
Also,
but they need our help.
Oh yes, they definitely do. And so if
Whether
any of
it's
you
money
have
or whatever,
money or food, you can go on their website and you can see things that they could use there. And I know that this is a difficult time for them at the shelter because of having so many all at once.
and it being so cold.
I think it doubled or tripled their
Tripled, I think,
their
capacity.
down there. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Then we had Friends of the Library Board meeting, and of course you're the humble vice president, and we got some things accomplished.
You're the secretary.
Well, recording secretary. You know, I have to dissociate that because they think I can do everything, and I'm not doing anything besides writing down what we're talking about, and that's about it. And sometimes I don't even get that right, so you just keep on going.
Yeah.
But and then my friend Bob Locke, who is 97 now, has never actually registered as a veteran. And he is...
Oh my goodness.
I know. And he was in World War II.
Yeah.
And has never really put forth any of that information. So we're in the process of registering him for that because...
About time.
He definitely needs some things coming up here soon. So anyway, that's what we're doing lately. How about you?
Well, first off, we've been trying to keep warm. It's been, as you know, super cold.
Oh boy.
And then of course we watched the inauguration, which was really cool. I was very happy to see that. It all went well, and everybody seemed to be in a very good mood. So, which was a good thing. So whether you're a Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. It was.
No, I don't think that's important. I think the important thing is that
we were together as a country.
Right, and that we honor whoever the president is.
Exactly.
And you don't always agree with the president that you have. But that still is an office that you need to honor. And I think some of us in the country don't quite understand that. And I
would agree.
I'm one of those people, no matter which candidate would have won the election, I would have been in support of their presidency because I think that's what you have to do.
Well, you have to. Because it's going to affect you one way or the other.
And besides that, who would ever run for president unless they really had a passion for helping the country? I mean, there's way too much involved.
I would hope no one, but that's for sure.
I had a problem with that national championship game.
What?
Well, I'm an Ohio State fan.
Absolutely.
I'm also a Catholic.
That doesn't matter.
Well, yeah. Notre Dame's a Catholic church.
It doesn't matter.
So I had both of them. So I really didn't care who won because I was going to be a winner no matter what.
No, well,
That's just an abomination of a national championship.
It was just really, it was really cool. It was really cool. I was just glad Ohio State won. And what was really nice about both of those teams was they really gave God the glory for what they've been able to do and how close of a family they felt like they were. And I saw some things on the field which were really good, like Ohio State helping a guy up, or one guy, I remember this one pass, they were going out and these two guys, they were fighting for the ball. And when they got up, they smacked each other's hands like, good job, for both of them.
Well, I think it's interesting. I always wondered, in that very beginning when they go out for the coin toss and the two teams come out there, and they always fist bump, shake hands, whatever they do with each other. And I always wonder what they're saying. They can't say good luck.
Well, you wouldn't think.
I've always wondered what they say.
A lot of those times, those guys are probably just introducing themselves or saying, "Hey, man, what's up?" They're not really saying a whole lot to each other.
But I did notice on this one, they not only just shook hands, but they actually hugged each other. So it was really cool. I think it was really neat. But then also I've been working at the Bethany Center, of course, and then also working at Fields of Grace, the church that I go to, on the Field, which is a building that we had bought across the road. And we're making it into a community center and a kids outreach because our Fields of Grace is expanding, and we have a lot of kids. So we've got to have a place for them, and so we're going to open it up to the community also, so they can use it if they want. But we've been working on that, trying to get that ready to go. But that's basically what I've been doing. So,
so what's coming up as far as activities are concerned?
Well, okay, I've got a few here, and I'll give you some more a little later. If you like country music, Brian Martin, now I'm not familiar with him, but Brian Martin is going to be at Hobart Arena on January 24th, 8 to 11 p.m. So for information, you can go to, of course, the Hobart Arena website, and it should be a lot of fun. If you like country music, that'll be fun.
In case you didn't know it, we're at the high school,
Yes.
and we're on a school day off, and you'll notice this flashing that's going on because they've got all these emergency things they're testing,
You're right.
and we get to be a part of that.
We had to be a part of that,
They
not,
just asked-
not willingly, but we're
Well,
a
they
part
just
of it.
asked us to get out of the building. Did we pay attention?
No, we did not.
We're pretending to be
we're
normal
good.
students.
We're good.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't smell any smoke or anything. Okay, so let's see, where was I? Oh yeah, Brian Martin at the Hobart Arena, country music. He's very good. And then there's going to be a drawing room chamber concert by UD faculty jazz trio, and that's at the Hainer Cultural Center, January 28th, 7:30, with the UD faculty jazz trio, Jim Leslie drums, Chris Berg upright bass, and Phil Buckhead piano. So that ought to be, they're from they're faculty at the University of Dayton. That should be a lot of fun, so contact Hainer Culture Center to get more information. And then, coming up, this next group I've heard, and they are phenomenal. They're called Naturally Seven, and they're going to be at the Arbogast Performing Arts Center, February 2nd, 7 p.m. They are phenomenal. They're an a cappella group of 7 men, and they can make the sounds of just about any instrument you ever want to hear. I mean, it's amazing how they do it. But it's a super good group. We've heard them before, my wife and I, and we just loved them. So, but that's February 2nd, 7 p.m. At the Arbogast Performing Arts Center. So contact them for tickets. Hopefully there's some still available. And then the film series at Troy Hainer Culture Center. And this is on February 7th, and this will be Ghost is the movie. Have you seen Ghost?
I have seen Ghost.
That's a good movie. It really is.
Got some great people in it.
Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, I think it is. And
is that the
was
one Whoopi Goldberg?
Whoopi Goldberg, I think's in it. She plays a ghost or something. Anyway, it's a great movie. It really is. Very romantic and all that in nature. Sad too, but it's really a cool movie. But that's at the Troy Hainer Cultural Center, February 7th from 7 p.m. And that's their movie series. So that's what I've got right now. I've got a few more for later, but right
you
now.
were talking about those the gentlemen who can make the sounds of musical instruments. You know, what I remember was the Mills Brothers. The Mills Brothers.
Yes, they could
started
do
out-
that.
They could be the band. They could make the sounds
Exactly.
with their hand, and it was a really cool thing. I think that's what started them. Really, they were
Yeah.
unique in that respect, and then of course they became international stars.
Oh,
I've got some birthdays.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, I know.
I'll
You're gonna-
probably
let me
screw it
get
up.
that bell right
Yeah,
over
get the
here.
bell. You'll need it.
Yeah, because we've got, well, first off, Guy Fieri, I think that's how you say it.
Right. Fieri.
Oh, well, whatever.
It's Italian, so.
Well, his real name is Ferry, Ferry, but he changed it to something that we can't pronounce too well.
I would have too.
But Fieri. So anyway, he's a host on the Food Network, and you know what's really cool
He's
about him?
a lot of fun.
He came from Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
He's one of us. So he probably was a Buckeye.
He probably was.
So
he probably rooted for Ohio State.
I wonder if he can make Buckeyes.
I'm sure he could.
So anyway, how old do you think he is?
Oh, I don't know. I'd say he's probably, let's see, he's got a son that's fairly old. So, I mean, as sons go, at least in their 20s, I think. So I would say, if I had to guess, he's probably 55.
Oh, darn, I can't push the bell.
Really?
Yeah, because he's 57.
Oh, hot dog, what do you know? Good guess, but I know he had kids, and they were old enough now to help participate in the shows with him, so I figured that.
He had those between recipes.
Yes.
So anyway, he started out selling pretzels.
Did he?
Yeah, he had a little pretzel wagon as a kid, and he would sell, he called it Awesome Pretzels. Now I wonder if he made them. Probably not. Because
no,
back
probably
then,
not.
I can make some good pretzels, but
Yes, I know you can.
but I'm not sure that he knew how at age 10.
No.
But anyway, his after-school job, he did wash dishes, you know, and he did that for 6 years. And you know what that got him?
What?
Enough money to go to France to a cooking school.
Culinary school.
Yep, to a
Very
cooking school
good.
in France. And he's opened a number of restaurants, and some were successful, some were not so successful. But you know, that's part of it. You don't just step back.
That's
You
part of
go
being an
ahead.
entrepreneur.
Yep, you go ahead, and sometimes it works, and sometimes
Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But you try again. That's the important part.
And he joined the Food Network, and you know, I noticed my favorite thing was diners,
Drive-ins and dives.
Drive-ins and dives, and I thought it's really kind of cool because he went around the country in his little red car, and he would stop in and share things that different places were making. He's authored a few books. By the way, for anybody who doesn't know this, he made a recipe for Mac Daddy mac and cheese. Mac Daddy mac and cheese. It's a really good recipe. You can get it online. And I think you should do that. It's Down Home Diner is the episode, and there goes the controls again. Well, they're really making sure
But that's
we're
okay.
going to be
Yeah,
safe.
yeah.
Anyway, so he's the show's called Guy Off the Hook, and the episode is Down Home Diner, and that recipe looks really good. And I think while I'm on vacation, because I cook on vacation,
I know you do.
while I'm on vacation, I think I'm going to take this recipe and try it. See what happens.
Okay.
I'll report back once we've had it.
Save it for when we're with you.
Okay, we can do that.
I like mac and cheese
I do too.
a lot.
Although we had a chef at Allison Manor who could make mac and cheese, and it was so bad. I never liked it. There were other people who thought it was amazing, but it just,
You know, it's hard to screw up mac and cheese.
well, you got to use Velveeta. I like Velveeta.
Well, it melts well. And,
Yeah,
it's
and
really.
most people don't want Velveeta because, after all, you know, that's cheap. Well, I think it's good, so I don't care too much. Okay, now move on.
Yes. Next,
Do you know Sam Cooke?
Sam Cooke, the singer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are good. You know all this stuff.
I don't know about that. I just know he was a
Well, he
singer.
came from Clarksville, Mississippi.
Yeah. Okay.
And he had an untimely death, you know.
Yeah.
He was only 33 when he passed away. But somebody shot him.
Ugh.
And there was all suspect as to how that all went down. It didn't sound like his back life beyond the public was a particularly good one.
Good, yeah.
But he would be 94.
Really? Wow.
I didn't even ask you that. See?
No, thank goodness. Because I wouldn't have had a clue.
He was considered king of soul. And what's
Okay.
interesting about him, and by the way, you know, he's born today, but and he died
That's
December
important
11th.
for-
Yeah.
yeah.
He died last month, but he was born today. Anyway, it's all weird. But he influenced a lot of very, very, very impressive people. Aretha Franklin, Art Garfunkel, Simon and Garfunkel, remember that?
I can't forget them.
No,
I like them.
Rod Stewart, Al Green, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, James Brown, and so many others.
Oh, yeah.
But those people were all
Influenced.
by his music. And that was really, he had Chain Gang was one of his songs, and You Send Me and Wonderful World and Twisting the Night Away. He was also a civil rights activist. So he was a pretty impressive kid, because at the age of 33 he had already done all that.
I know.
Can you
Just
imagine
think
what he could have done?
I know. Yeah, if he hadn't have passed. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So anyway, that was, by the way, the person who did that, they claimed it was self-defense, and it was taken care of that way. So then we have Samantha Gale. It was Sammy Gale. Now, you probably don't know her.
No.
Because I didn't know her name either. She's an actress. She has recently been on a very lengthy series on television. And here's the part that blows my mind. Since you don't know her, I'm not even going to ask you how old you think she is.
Because I have no idea.
Because she's 59. But when you find out what she played on TV, I can't get it all in my head together. Because she was a debater in high school. She was like a national winner of debate. Was really good in that respect. She was a dancer. She went to New York to dancing school when she was 11.
Wow.
And she refused to be in the musical Gypsy on Broadway in the revival.
Really?
Refused.
Holy moly.
Well, her brother was having a bar mitzvah and she needed to be there. That's exactly why she did it. She refused because she couldn't be at the bar mitzvah
for one night, one bar mitzvah.
So you know what
all
that
those
did?
Oh my gosh.
You know what that did to her brother?
What?
Made him feel really guilty.
I bet.
So guess what he did?
What did he
went
do?
out and got her a part in another show.
He must have been connected too.
Well, he just kept working at it. She played Baby Jane in the revival of Gypsy, and then, but the real truth is, it's all about her most recent. And everybody out there who watched Blue Bloods knows her, because she was Nikki Reagan, the young girl who was daughter to Tom Selleck's daughter on the program.
Okay. How old did you say she was?
She's 59. I can't believe that she could play the part, because she was playing the age of, well, she was like still in high school through college when the program concluded. So she was had just gotten a job out in California in the program.
In other words, she ages well.
She ages well, or they had one heck of a good makeup team.
Yeah, well, or both.
Or both, yeah, because she did a really nice job with that. So anyway, that's my birthdays.
Okay, well, I think it's time for us to show our recent interview with Chris Manning.
Oh yeah, she was so knowledgeable. Let's see what she had to say.
All right, sounds good.
AJ, roll that tape. We are really excited today to have Chris Manning here. She is the executive director of the Overfield Museum, Tavern and Museum in Troy, and we know that back on December 7th wasn't one of the better days there, and we just thought it would be good to have you tell us a little bit about that evening, how you felt, and we'll go from there.
But why don't you start by giving us a little bit of background of the Overfield Tavern? Because some people might not know what it was, or you know.
Yeah, so the Overfield Tavern is located at 201 East Water Street in Troy. Mm-hmm. It is the oldest building in Troy. Actually, the back portion is the oldest building in Troy, one of the oldest in Miami County, and it served as a one-room log cabin. And from 1803 until 1808, and then the front portion was constructed in 1808, and it served as a log tavern until 1824.
Wow.
So it was a tavern first, it was a home first,
right?
Then a tavern, and then ultimately a courthouse.
Yes, so actually, what it actually is two buildings. In the back portion, there's a one-room log cabin that was built in 1803 by Benjamin and Margaret Overfield. They were a young newlywed couple, migrated here from Pennsylvania, built themselves a little cabin on the banks of the Miami River, and started their family.
It's really odd to me to think about that, because there was nothing around them.
Right. Troy did not exist at that time. In fact, 1803 is actually the year that Ohio became a state. And at that time, what is now Troy was part of Montgomery County. So Miami County wasn't formed until 1807. So they were actually here when this was Montgomery County.
But to take a new wife and just build a cabin in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly. And it's kind of funny, they didn't actually own the land on which they had built their cabin. They were technically squatters, but that was very common at that time period. Land was very expensive. You had to buy it in large lots, and a lot of people couldn't afford to buy land. So the Overfields, like many early settlers, migrated to Ohio, found a spot that looked nice to them, and built themselves a home.
And then later a tavern.
Yep.
Correct.
I would have needed the tavern after short.
Exactly. Well, in 1807, Miami County was formed, and they went ahead and laid out the town of Troy. And they basically laid out the town around the Overfield's cabin. And so Mr. and Mrs. Overfield realized that since Troy was going to be the new county seat, this would be a really good opportunity for them to kind of make something of themselves. So they built the tavern, completed it by the fall of 1808. And we know that because in September of 08, Mr. Overfield applied for a tavern license. You did have to have a license to operate a tavern. And then in November of 08, court was held there for the first time. So like you mentioned, it was a courthouse. It served as Troy's first courthouse for about 3 years.
Oh, well, that's kind of exciting for the family, for the
Exactly,
Overfields to be involved right there in the center of the whole thing. So skipping forward then, it went through a lot of phases between then and now, and I understand there was a fire previously there.
There wasn't a fire at that building. There was a fire along East Water Street that destroyed several other log buildings, and Mr. Overfield's building was the only one that survived along that lot.
Wow.
And then when he moved closer to the square on North Market Street in 1824, he was there for just a few months, and they had another fire, and in that case his building was damaged, and he moved all of his belongings out, was able to save most of his belongings, and shortly after moved to a third location close to the square, and that's where he ran a tavern until his death in 1831.
Okay, so that's a little bit of the history. So now let's go back to that December 7th this past year.
Yes.
Tell me what was going on with you personally.
Well, we had our Yuletide Dinners fundraiser scheduled for December 7th and 8th, which is a Frontier-inspired 3-course meal served by volunteers in costume, live music. It's a really fun atmosphere. It's a very, very popular event. We have excellent food, and this I think was going to be our 7th year holding these dinners, and so we were all ready. Everything was set up when I left to go home on the evening of December 6th, and then about 5 a.m. on December 7th, I received a phone call from our security company saying that there were fire alarms going off at the tavern. So I made my way over to the tavern as quickly as I could, and that's when I realized that the fire trucks were on scene, and I was the first civilian on scene, and I was there to kind of watch the whole beginning process of the fire. And it was a pretty bad fire. It really gutted the building. It destroyed most of the contents of the building. It took hours. It took hours for the fire department to put the fire out. In fact, I believe they had fire departments from Casstown, Piqua, Tip City, and I think first responders from Elizabeth Township all responded to the fire because it was such a significant fire.
But still, they were able to save the log cabin portion of that building.
Yes. Well, we don't have final analysis yet of the structure, but it does look like most of the logs survived the fire. I'm sure we will have to replace some, especially on the back or north side of the building. But for the most part, the logs did withstand the flames. And that just goes to speak as to how dense the logs were.
Yes.
We don't really think about this nowadays, but wood is now grown on a farm essentially, and it's grown very rapidly with lots of water and fertilizers, and you get wood with very wide rings. But that old growth wood was very dense, had rings very close together. If you've ever tried to hammer a nail into an old piece of wood, you know that it doesn't go in very far. And so those logs, which are over 200 years old, did seem to withstand the flames for the most part.
Well, that's good.
Yes, we're very fortunate.
And I understand that you had quick response from the community, the surrounding community regarding the fate of the
We did.
tavern.
Yes, the city of Troy responded immediately with an offer of $75,000 towards the recovery of the building and the contents. And any expenses that wouldn't be covered by insurance. So that was really great to see. And then we've also had donations from the community. We've had volunteers reach out that have helped with various aspects of say like processing the collection so we can see what survived, what was lost. We've also had some support from the Troy Foundation. Here in Miami County, we had an outstanding grant that we were going to be applying to a different phase of the restoration work, and we are now able to use that money towards restoration of the structure.
Well, that's good. So what does the future hold?
Well, our hope is to restore the structure, both the one-room log cabin in the back and the two-story tavern in the front, retaining the original log walls. The inside of both structures will largely have to be reconstructed. Now, a lot of the interior was not original. It had actually been, the building had basically been gutted in 1948 when it was purchased by the Hobart brothers. They restored it to what they felt it should look like. And so they basically took out all interior finishes, took off the siding, and basically had a bare log structure. And then in the 1990s, late 90s, there was a restoration that took place at the tavern where they returned the interior to a more appropriate appearance. So we will be basically creating a brand new interior on the inside of the log structure.
But that brand new interior would appearance-wise date back to the original construction.
Correct, yes. So there'll be a lot of research involved in making sure that we are creating the most period-appropriate interior.
So does that mean that in some respects it'll actually end up in the long run being even better?
I like to think so, right. I like to think so. I think every museum director kind of has things they'd like to do differently than the person who came before them. And so it is a really unique opportunity for myself and the volunteers and the board of trustees to kind of create a museum the way that we would like the museum to look. So it is kind of an exciting opportunity. What is so unfortunate is that because the bulk of the interior was destroyed, we lost a lot of really important artifacts that have ties to Miami County history.
I was just going to ask you about those, how difficult that might be to replace some of those.
Exactly. It's going to be, some of the objects are not replaceable. Yeah. We had items that, for example, we had a linen nightshirt made of homespun linen that was made for John Knoop, who was one of the very first settlers here in Miami County. He settled in Staunton Township. And the nightshirt was made from linen that was presumably grown here, flax that was grown here in Miami County, woven, and then sewn into a shirt, and we lost that.
That's a shame.
So we did lose a lot of significant items with Miami County history, which was really hard to see.
Oh yeah, that would be.
So it's interesting because we all are familiar with the Notre Dame Cathedral over in Paris, and of course they've recently reopened it after a number of years of reconstruction and gone through so many phases of making sure that things were the way they had been in the past.
Right.
So it sounds to me like you're in a much smaller way doing the same thing with the Overfield Tavern and museum area.
Yeah, we are.
I would think it'd be very difficult to replace some of that lumber that.
It is challenging to get lumber. When we had to replace some logs a couple of years ago, they were able to source some large hewn logs from, I think, a grain elevator up in Shelby County. They weren't quite as old as our tavern, and the logs weren't quite as large. Yeah. It is very difficult to source logs that are that large.
Yeah. Well, back in 1808 or whenever, Ohio was mostly forest.
Correct.
So, and they had a lot of old growth trees.
Correct. They actually saw the forest as a problem, right? Because you couldn't plant your crops.
Right.
So they burned down, in some cases just burned it down, tried to get rid of the forest as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Well, it's really good to hear that the city has come to your aid to help. What's the projection for the future now?
We are tentatively hoping to open in some manner by the end of 2026. That will be pushing it. It is an adventurous timeline, but we are hoping to open by the end of 2026 in honor of the celebration of in honor of the celebration of America's 250th anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got a big birthday coming up for the country.
And if you open just the right timing, you'll be able to have those 2 dinners.
That's right, that's right.
As part of that grand opening, wouldn't that be cool?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I want you to know that we would be very happy to have a tour at a time appropriate.
Yes.
If you give us some notice, we'll come down and we'll walk through it with you and get a chance to see whether you want us to do it in process or wait till the conclusion. But please keep us in mind, because I know our viewers here are going to be
Very
continuously interested in what's happening. You know, I think I've lived in a vacuum most of my life, because I knew about the Overfield Tavern and I knew it was down there and I've driven by it many times. But until the fire, and I then did some research and saw all the cool things that you had there before the fire, it really surprised me. And I'm sorry that I didn't make it before, so I'm going to definitely make it after this fire. So.
Now, do you have photographs of some of the artifacts and all that?
We do have photographs of quite a few artifacts. We'd actually started an inventory process in 2019. There wasn't a comprehensive inventory of every object in the collection.
Good.
So we did begin that process, and we had, every object had a form, an inventory form, and we had about 1,600 objects in the collection, is what we did have. And fortunately, those forms survived. So we were really worried that they would have been taken out by the fire, but they did survive in a back storage room. So we are able to see what we had and what we've lost. And at this point, it's a matter of comparing the charred artifacts to the inventory list.
To see what...
Exactly.
What's what.
Exactly.
And I'm sure some of those charred artifacts, as you mentioned, will probably be on display.
Yes, we're hoping to have some sort of an exhibit that'll show things that were lost and things that were saved. You'd be surprised the things that were saved. We lost a lot of our textiles. We lost most of our furniture. But of course, everything metal survived. You can't really destroy cast iron. So all of our metal objects survived. A lot of our ceramics. A lot of things had actually been kind of stored away for the Yuletide dinners, because we set up the space to host a 3-course meal. And so a lot of the smaller artifacts and the antique furniture get put into storage for the Yuletide dinners. And that actually saved some objects, because they had been put away in cupboards with doors shut and that sort of thing. And so they were protected to some extent. Unfortunately, we lost most of our furniture that was put in an attic storage space for the dinners, and that attic was badly hit by the fire.
So some of that, though, can be replaced probably by searching and looking for artifacts that would be of similar variety.
Correct. The things that had direct Miami County ties are irreplaceable, but a lot of the furniture and decorative arts and ceramics and that sort of thing were not from Miami County residents. They were just of the time period. Exactly. So it'll take some searching to find some items to replace it, but there will be, I'm sure there'll be items out there that we can acquire to replace those that were lost.
Well, and there are artisans out there that can reproduce a lot of this, a lot of the stuff, the furniture and the ceramics and all that. So that would be one route to go to.
Exactly.
So it sounds like your job's going to be pretty darn busy in the next year or so.
Yes, I was kind of, thinking we were in a place where things were moving along smoothly, and we were finished up actually a multi-phase restoration project. We had put a new roof on about 3 or 4 years ago. We had done some log replacement in the front of the building a couple of years ago, and we had just finalized, we had just met our fundraising goal to do the last leg of the restoration. We were going to replace a few more logs and put period appropriate siding on the building, and that was going to kind of end our restoration. And we were so looking forward to that, because it's been multi-year project. But unfortunately, this, now we're basically starting from scratch.
Okay, I have a question. $64,000 question. Do they know what caused the fire?
We do not have an official report from the state fire marshal yet. However, I did have a phone call with him a couple of days ago, and they are focusing their attentions on the utility room in the back, which we knew that. It is where the electrical panel was, as well as the gas-powered boiler.
Oh, okay.
So that was all in there, and from what I have heard by speaking to the fire marshal, they aren't able to pinpoint an exact cause. They just can tell that the fire started in that utility room.
In that area. Okay. Well.
But we should have that final report in a couple of weeks, we anticipate.
So it sounds like you're at least on the path to the future with some ideas and plans and people's support. So that's
Exactly.
that's a plus. for
Exactly.
you.
The community has really come out and supported us during this time. Donations and offers of assistance and our volunteers. I can't speak enough about how amazing our volunteers are. We have a fabulous group of volunteers that helps out with the Yuletide dinners and other tasks around the museum, and they really stepped up. And I don't know if you know this, but so the dinners were planned for later that day, 12 hours actually. The fire began around 5 a.m. and the first dinner was planned for 5 p.m. that night. And so we were able to pivot with the help of our volunteers and with the owners of the St. Patrick's Soup Kitchen. And we were able to host the dinner across the street at the St. Pat's Soup Kitchen.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
so our volunteers really came together, and because we had to replace all of our dishes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we had lost everything. Menus, tablecloths, all that stuff had been lost in the fire. But the food was safe. The food was in the refrigerators at the soup kitchen. So we were able to, with the help of our volunteers, kind of come together, source things, and pull off the dinner at 5 p.m.
that's
that
wonderful.
night. Yeah.
Well, I'm really pleased to the fact that you were able to come today and
Yes,
talk to us.
absolutely.
And please keep us updated so that we
Definitely.
can let our viewers know what's happening. And I'm looking forward to that tour someday.
Great.
Oh, yes,
Definitely.
that'll be
It'll take
fun.
a little while.
Oh, yeah.
That's
it's
okay.
right.
That's all
We
right.
thought we could come down today.
It's not very safe right now.
I understand that. So thank you again.
Thank you.
I really
Yes.
appreciate it. And I'm wishing you every success in this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay, well, we're back, and we taped that interview the other day, and I was amazed at the Overfield Tavern and Museum. How about you?
It sounds like it'll be back in a year or two, and that's really a good thing because I think I was so impressed when I actually did some research on the Overfield
Yes.
Tavern and all that. And
The history of it's amazing.
Yes.
It really
The very
is.
first building, I think, in whole Miami County area, and it was just that little log cabin perched on
Definitely the
river.
first building in Troy.
Yeah. And I'm sure that it'll be, they do need that financial support and
Yes,
even volunteer help, I think, because
Yeah.
they have a lot with computers and trying to get things all
Right,
lined
right.
up. So if anyone out there would like to make a donation, I'm sure that the members of the Overfield would be happy to receive those. And if you have time to volunteer, call Chris Manning.
It'd be a real help. It really would,
it
because
would
they
be.
have a lot to do now that the tavern burnt. So,
So you've got some additional
yes,
things?
I do. I got a few more here. On February 12th, David Anthony, who is a magician and comedy hypnotist. I don't get involved in those shows because I don't want to be hypnotized. I don't know that I can.
I don't want people reading my mind.
Well, I know, that's what I mean, so. But anyway, but he's going to be at the Mayflower, which is, since it was bought, it's called now the Mayflower, the Encore. That's the new name for the Mayflower. It's not owned by what used to be, what was it, AJ Distilleries or something, but now it's called Mayflower, the Encore. And that's 9 West Main Street in Troy. It's general admission seating on first floor is $35. Second floor gallery is $15. And seating takes place at 6 and 6:15. Easy for me to say. Show starts promptly at 6:30 p.m. So just contact the Mayflower. We'll have that information at the end of the show for you if you want to go to that. It sounds like it would be fun if you don't mind being hypnotized. I'm not going to. Anyway, and then an event coming up, which I think it's kind of a cool thing to go to. February 14th and February 16th is the Miami County and Garden, or Miami County Home and Garden Show. And it's at Hobart Arena. $6 admission. You can advance tickets are only $5. So and you just go to Hobart Arena to get the information. It's always fun. You can see the latest in things for your home and ideas for gardening and all that if you're into that sort of thing. So like I said, that's February 14th and 16th. For more information, go to hobartarena.com. And then at the APAC, if you like magic, Magic by Vitali at APAC. That's February 15th, 7 p.m. Arbogast Performing Arts Center, of course. And again, for more information, go to APAC, their website, and we'll have that at the end of the show. And then, this is really kind of neat, if you can still get in, because it's been on the books, but I didn't see this event until just the other day. February 14th, which is, we all know, is Valentine's Day,
yeah.
and February 15th at the Troy Hayner Cultural Center, they're having a Valentine dinner and show there. And it's reservations are $70 per person, and that includes salad, dinner, dessert, a toast to love, and Josh Sneed's comedy are all included in your ticket price. And the reservations opened Monday, December 26th, which, like I said, I had just seen this the other day, and they closed February 10th, 2025. So there's still plenty of time for you to be able to purchase your tickets. So you can go to the troyhayner.org/happenings, and that'll be at the end of the show. Also, we'll have that on there. But that sounds like it would be a lot of fun, and you can take your sweetie to Valentine's dinner.
I know it's going to cost you a little though.
Well, but that's okay.
Yeah, because you always have to splurge.
Aren't they
just
worth it?
A little bit on Valentine's Day. Well, there's some days when I think that.
And then others,
Well, you just never know, do you?
no, you never do.
Well, I came across a story that I thought I would like to share. It's an interesting news story that I was able to come up with, and I want to. I'm going to read that news story now. A woman stops a 12-foot alligator with a .22 pistol.
Wow.
Florida woman stops alligator attack using a .22 pistol
That's
caliber.
impressive.
And then another good reason to have a concealed weapon permit, you know. This is a story of self-control and marksmanship by a brave, cool-headed woman with a small pistol against a fierce predator. Here's her story in her own words. I just thought this was so interesting. While walking along the edge of a pond just outside her house in the Villages, discussing a property settlement with my soon-to-be ex-husband and other divorce issues, we were surprised by a huge 12-foot alligator, which suddenly emerged from the murky water. Now, I've seen that happen before. But
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen anybody eaten by it, but I've seen it happen.
Oh, yeah.
It began charging us with its large jaws wide open. You can just see that, can't you? She must have been protecting her nest because she was extremely agitated. If I had not had my little Ruger .22 caliber pistol with me, I would not be here today. Just one shot to my estranged husband's kneecap was all it took. The alligator got him easily. And I was able to escape by just walking away at a brisk pace.
Oh, jeez.
The amount I saved in lawyer's fees was really incredible, and his life insurance was a big bonus. I couldn't help but laugh. You know I got that? Church.
Did you?
Yeah, the minister read that.
Oh, my gosh.
So anyway,
That's it. Well,
something to keep in mind.
yeah, because the .22 pistol, I was wondering, how'd she do that with a .22 pistol?
'cause they need that.
It's a small little caliber
Yeah, because
gun.
the alligator need it.
Yeah.
But in this
Oh,
case,
my
she took
gosh.
care of it. I thought that was rather ingenious myself. But anyway.
certainly was funny.
And the other thing I wanted to talk about again, we did this at the beginning of the show, but, you know, I watched the whole day on the 20th, the TV. I watched from beginning to end all the pomp and circumstance and pageantry. You know, we always think that the British have it down because when they have something going on, royalty, they do all kinds of stuff. Well, I thought we in America did a pretty nice job of transferring
That's
our
pretty
power,
cool.
the power of our government.
Yep.
And I was really impressed with all that went on, and especially since they changed it within what, 3 days?
Yeah,
or
3
something?
days, yeah.
They moved it indoors, and I know there were some snafus because there were some blank spaces where we
Yeah.
had to wait.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you think about all that went on and all the people and how they got everything coordinated.
Well, and, you know, they said, you know, about the blank spaces. They say President Trump, he can't just walk somewhere and not talk to somebody. And so they said that's kind of what put them behind on some of this
I can
timing.
believe that.
Yeah.
Kind of like you and me walking along.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, I wondered, because I was a drama coach for a while, I wondered if they should have had some people back in the back who were saying, get your butt up there.
Well, I bet they did, but
Well,
you
with
know,
him,
what are you going to do?
But I'm talking about not just him, but there were other
others, yes.
when people were supposed to be walking out and they weren't ready, and then they didn't have the music when she sang, and that was a sad thing. But on the other hand, she pulled that off
That was
perfectly.
beautiful.
Yeah,
yes, I was going to say. It
was probably better.
Matter of fact, it was better. Yes,
I think so too.
I would agree.
So, you know, it's interesting when you watch those things, and I know there are people sitting out there who are like, well, I don't want to watch that, it's boring. But I found it rather interesting, and you know, I think sometimes we forget what it's like to be involved in all of that. And Melania Trump, you know, she looked amazing.
Yeah. Did you see her gowned at the ball?
I did.
That was beautiful.
Woo, she was looking good, and so was JD's wife. And I have trouble with her name.
I do too.
But I've met her, and she's an amazing woman. And the three kids were at
adorable
at the second event there, or was it the third event? Anyway,
one of those events.
And they were just really cool. I wondered why she had all these little things on her fingers. The little girl. It was because they didn't want her to suck her thumb.
It wasn't on her thumb.
So, you know, if you just watch that stuff and just take it in for what it is, whether you agree with Trump or not, it doesn't matter. It's all part of us being Americans and
our republic.
And supporting whoever we, as a group, choose to be our president and the administration. And this morning I saw JD do his first official act because he swore in our Secretary of State now.
Very
Marco
good.
Rubio.
Which got a 99-0 vote.
Yeah, everybody
for the good,
So that was another good thing. So, so when you're sitting at home and you don't have anything else to do, those are the kind of things I like to watch. And I watched from 10 o'clock in the morning, I think, around 9:30, 10 o'clock, until 1:15 in the morning.
1:15?
Yep. And I usually go to bed around 12:45, but I was involved in the Oval Office thing they had on. I was watching News Nation, and they had his time where he was signing those executive orders in the Oval Office with all the
you know what's crazy is that Don goes to bed after me. And he's older than me.
Well,
but he doesn't get up before you.
I'm sure do you sleep in?
Well, till about 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock.
I woke up this morning to a baby going, hi. We're sitting right in between us.
Well, I used to, when I was in the workforce, I used to always get up at 6:20. The old clock would say 6:20. My feet were on the floor, and I was out the door about 7:30. 7:15, 7:30 to get to school for teaching and that sort of thing. And once I retired, I decided I don't want to do that anymore. and I'm a night person, so when I wasn't teaching in the summertime, I would stay up most of the night because I was the secretary for Alliston Manor in those years, early years, and I did all the contract work and all that. And I would do that after my wife went to bed. That would be nice and quiet. The TV would be on, and I could type up those contracts. And so I've always been a night person. And so now I usually turn off the TV around 12 o'clock, 11:30, and I read a book for a little while, and then I do some devotional things, and then I go to bed. So it always ends up being around 1 o'clock. and even then, I don't really want to go to bed. It's so quiet, so peaceful. The dog's sitting on my lap, It's just a cozy time. You know what? We need to move on, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We're getting a little carried away
Yeah,
here.
I think so.
So,
Okay.
Anyway, well, if y'all are night people, let me know. We might talk AJ into doing a late night show sometime. And of course, we'll have to tape it in the afternoon. But
No, we could tape it during that time period.
oh, really?
Wow.
Hey,
Well,
we might do something
Is
real
it-
interesting
we just
this
never
summer.
know.
Look
Yeah,
at
there
that.
you go.
Summer, you
There
know, we
go.
could do something. Now, listen, people, the next show is going to be really good because we're going to be working just before Valentine's Day.
Yes.
And you and I are going to do some stuff for
Uh-huh.
Valentine's Day.
Well, I hope so.
I'm kind of excited about it. I think it's about time we put this one to bed. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's about time. Yeah. I'm Bill Cartwright,
And I'm Don Smith.
and
That's what's happening.